Let me tell you something. Sometimes the greatest blessing in your life is when someone underestimates you, when they think they've got you all figured out, when they decide you're not valuable enough to keep around. Maybe they used you, drained you, and then walked away like you were nothing. But here's the truth: they didn't let you go because you were weak. They let you go because your strength was something they could never control. And now, that choice is about to become the biggest mistake they've ever made. You see, a narcissist thrives when you're small. They want you doubting yourself, questioning your worth, clinging to their approval like it's oxygen. But the moment they let you go, intentionally or not, they just set you free. And when you're free, you begin to remember who you are without their manipulation clouding your mind. At first, you might have felt broken. Maybe you cried, maybe you questioned everything, maybe you thought you'd never recover. But that pain was the fire that forged your new self. You began to rebuild not the version they shaped, but the version you were always meant to be. Stronger, wiser, more resilient. Here's what they didn't understand: when you take away someone's crutches, they either collapse or they learn to run, and you didn't just learn to run, you learned to fly. Now, while you're out here evolving, they're stuck in the same toxic cycles, because narcissists don't grow, they repeat. They search for their next target, thinking they'll get the same control, the same easy supply. But it never hits the same. Why? Because no one can replace the depth, the loyalty, the energy you brought into their life, and that's where their trouble begins. They're chasing ghosts. They start realizing that the people they manipulate now aren't as forgiving, aren't as patient, aren't as deeply invested as you were. The mask starts slipping faster. Their games don't work the way they used to. And deep down, that's when it hits them: they lost the best thing they ever had. But here's the most important part: your life is no longer about them. You're not living to show them what they lost, you're living to show yourself what you've gained. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right. It's waking up every day and building a life so full of purpose, joy, and peace that their memory feels like a faded chapter in a book you've already finished reading. So let them be in trouble. Let them wrestle with the consequences of their choices. You've got places to go, dreams to chase, and a life to live that they'll never have access to again. Remember the moment they let you go. They didn't take your value with them. They just gave you the space to rise, and now, you are unstoppable. When a narcissist lets you go, it may feel at first like a devastating rejection. Your mind plays the moments over and over, wondering what you could have done differently, where you might have fallen short, and how someone could discard you so easily after all you gave. But what you may not see in that moment is that their decision is actually your liberation. Narcissists thrive when you are within their grasp, when they can control the narrative of your worth and dictate the boundaries of your potential. The day they walk away, they unknowingly open the cage door, and for the first time, you are free to breathe without their suffocating influence. That freedom is not just physical. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual. You begin to notice how much of your identity had been shaped around their expectations and manipulation. Slowly, you start reclaiming the pieces of yourself that you lost. You remember your likes and dislikes without their judgment attached. You rediscover your passions without fear of ridicule. You begin to speak, act, and live in ways that align with your authentic self instead of the version they wanted you to be. This is where rebirth begins. It's not an overnight transformation. It's a process, sometimes messy, sometimes painful, but always worth it. You start to stand taller, walk with more confidence, and trust yourself again. You realize that the opinions they used to weaponize against you no longer hold power. You no longer seek their validation because you've learned to validate yourself. A narcissist's loss is not your downfall. It's their ultimate miscalculation. They thought you would crumble without them, that you would remain in the shadow of their absence. Instead, you step into the light, stronger than you have ever been. Your freedom allows you to rebuild from the ground up, this time with unshakable foundations built on self, worth, and clarity. And as you rise, you start to see the truth: you were never dependent on them for survival. They were dependent on you to feed their ego. By letting you go, they set you on the path toward a life they can no longer touch. And in that space, you are reborn into the person you were always meant to be. When a narcissist leaves your life, the pain can feel unbearable at first. It's not just about losing a relationship, it's about losing the version of yourself that you thought you were in that relationship. Your mind may be flooded with questions, self-doubt, and grief. It's an emotional shockwave that can shake you to your core. But within that pain lies an unexpected source of power. This hurt becomes the spark that ignites the beginning of a transformation you might never have chosen voluntarily, but one that will ultimately redefine your life. Pain has a way of waking you up. It strips away illusions and forces you to see things for what they truly were. You begin to realize that what you thought was love was actually manipulation, that what you believed was partnership was really control. That awareness may sting, but it's also liberating. Once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. You start to understand that the hurt you're feeling is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of release. Over time, you learn to channel that emotional energy into growth. Instead of letting the pain destroy you, you decide to let it shape you. You set boundaries where there were none before. You strengthen your self-worth so it no longer depends on anyone's approval. You develop resilience, knowing that you've survived something that once seemed impossible to endure. Every tear you've cried, every sleepless night you've endured becomes part of the foundation for the new you. And here's the truth: transformation rarely comes from comfort. Comfort keeps you where you are. Pain pushes you to where you need to be. This pain becomes the proof that you can survive without their presence, that you can thrive even after they've tried to break you down. It becomes a reminder that your story is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. You start taking steps you never imagined, setting goals you once thought were out of reach, and embracing parts of yourself you didn't know existed. The very thing that was meant to crush you becomes the reason you rise higher than you ever have before, because the pain they left behind has now become the unstoppable fuel for your transformation. A narcissist's world is a closed loop, a revolving door of manipulation, exploitation, and self-serving behavior. They may change the faces around them, but the pattern remains the same. This is because true growth requires self-awareness, humility, and a willingness to take responsibility for one's actions, qualities a narcissist refuses to embrace. Instead, they run from accountability, preferring to blame others, rewrite the story, and find new people to pull into their web. When they let you go, they don't evolve or suddenly become a better person. They simply go looking for someone else to play the role you once filled. They crave admiration and control, and when one source runs dry, they replace it. The same tactics they used on you, love bombing, devaluing, discarding, are applied to the next person. It's a cycle they've perfected over time, but it's also one that traps them in their own stagnation. They never truly connect with others because every relationship they enter is transactional. People are tools, not partners. That's why, while you move forward and heal, they're still circling the same emotional drain. They repeat the same lies, the same manipulations, and the same betrayals, never realizing that the problem isn't everyone else, it's them. Over time, this cycle starts to work against them. New people catch on faster, their charm loses its novelty, their manipulations are less effective because the world becomes less tolerant of their games. Relationships end more quickly, and the emptiness they try to avoid becomes harder to ignore. But instead of looking inward, they double down, running the same tired playbook that keeps producing the same empty results. Meanwhile, you're experiencing real growth. You're learning, evolving, and breaking free from patterns that once held you back. You're gaining new skills, deepening your relationships, and discovering your strength. The contrast couldn't be more clear. While you're climbing upward, they're running in circles. That's the tragedy of a narcissist's life. They think they're in control, but in reality, they're prisoners of their own repetition. They can't grow because growth would require them to dismantle the very identity they've built their lives around, and that's something they will never choose to do, which means their life will always be a cycle that leads nowhere. When a narcissist discards you, they often do so with the arrogant belief that you are easily replaceable. In their mind, there's always someone else who can fill your role, give them the attention they crave, and meet their endless demands. But what they fail to understand is that depth, loyalty, and genuine energy are not common commodities. They are rare qualities that come from someone who truly cares, invests, and gives from the heart. And once they lose that, they will spend the rest of their lives searching for it in vain. Your depth wasn't just about conversation or shared experiences, it was about the emotional and spiritual connection you offered. You listened without judgment, supported without keeping score, and understood them in ways they didn't even understand themselves. This is not something that can be replicated by surface-level relationships, no matter how charming or exciting those may seem at first. Your loyalty was unwavering, even when they didn't deserve it. You stayed during the storms, you defended them when others doubted them, and you sacrificed your own comfort to ensure they were okay. That kind of steadfastness is priceless, and it's something they will never find in the shallow waters they now swim in. New people may give them temporary excitement, but excitement fades. Loyalty and trust are built over time, and once it's gone, it's irreplaceable. Then there's your energy, the life force you brought into every moment. It was your laughter, your encouragement, your ability to see potential in them, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. You poured your heart into making things better, creating joy, and lifting the atmosphere around you. That's why the new connections they find feel hollow, because no one else carries your unique spark. Eventually, the narcissist begins to notice the emptiness. They realize that while they may have replaced your presence, they haven't replaced your essence. The people around them now may tolerate them, but they don't inspire them, challenge them, or love them in the way you did. And deep down, this truth gnaws at them, because they know they let go of something extraordinary, and that kind of loss lingers in a way they can never escape when a narcissist hurts you. The natural instinct may be to want them to see your pain, to wish they could feel the same emptiness they caused, but chasing that kind of revenge keeps you tied to them, still reacting to their existence. True power comes when you shift your focus away from proving something to them and start proving everything to yourself. That's where the real revenge lies, in building a life so rich in purpose, joy, and fulfillment that they no longer have any hold over your thoughts or emotions. Living with purpose means identifying what truly matters to you and aligning your life with it. It's about discovering your passions, setting meaningful goals, and waking up each day knowing you're working towards something that brings you alive. A narcissist thrives when you're stuck in confusion or self-doubt. So every step you take toward clarity and intention is a step away from their control. Joy, on the other hand, is about reclaiming your right to be happy unapologetically. It's not found in waiting for apologies that will never come or in watching their downfall. Joy is found in the small victories, laughter with friends, the peace of a quiet morning, the excitement of trying something new. It's in the confidence that you no longer need their approval to feel worthy. The beauty of this kind of revenge is that it doesn't just heal you, it transforms you. While they remain trapped in their cycles, you're expanding your world, attracting new opportunities, and surrounding yourself with people who see and value the real you. The more you grow, the smaller they become in your story. One day, they might catch a glimpse of your new life, thriving, glowing, untouchable, and realize they're no longer the center of your world. But by then, it won't even matter to you, because your happiness won't be dependent on their acknowledgement. You'll be too busy living, creating, and loving the life you've built to care whether they notice. And that is the sweetest victory of all, rising so high in your own light that their shadow can't even reach you anymore. When a narcissist loses you, they often believe the consequences will be temporary. They convince themselves they'll quickly find someone else to feed their ego, to give them the same devotion and energy you once did. But what they don't realize is that losing someone like you sets off a chain reaction they can't reverse. Their trouble doesn't fade over time, it deepens. Because while they remain stuck in the same destructive patterns, you're moving forward, growing stronger, and creating a life they can never be part of again. Their trouble is permanent because they refuse to change. They will continue sabotaging relationships, chasing validation, and wearing the same mask until it cracks. Each failed attempt to replicate what they had with you only reinforces the reality that you were rare, irreplaceable, and far beyond what they deserved. Over time, their world becomes smaller, their options fewer, and their reputation tarnished. And still, they'll keep playing the same game, never realizing they're the reason they keep losing. On the other hand, your rise is unstoppable because it's fueled by everything you've been through. Every betrayal taught you boundaries. Every heartbreak taught you self-respect. Every moment of doubt strengthened your resolve. You've learned to take the pain they caused and turn it into power, a power that builds momentum with every step you take forward. Now, instead of being weighed down by their manipulation, you're free to focus on your dreams, your passions, and the people who truly value you. You're investing in your growth, discovering your strength, and stepping into opportunities you might never have seen if they hadn't let you go. And the more you rise, the more unreachable you become to them. While they're stuck looking backward, you're looking ahead. They're trapped in the mess they've created, while you're building something beautiful out of what they left behind. Your progress becomes a constant reminder not to them, but to yourself that you are no longer bound by their control. They may never admit it, but deep down they know the truth. Their loss is permanent, and so is your victory. Because once you step into your power, there's no going back, and nothing they do can stop the life you are creating for yourself.